All right, a very interesting one. The Bank of Canada has put out a YouTube video about how the economy will collapse, apparently. I'll just take a quick look at a quick clip here, and you can go to the Zero Hedge link here.
There are two vulnerabilities related to housing that we are focused on right now.
So I don't want to play a whole lot of it. Let me just zoom to another section here. Interesting. I'm going to take a look at this here.
Selling the house. At the same time, other households are likely to delay house purchases until the economy improves. In a housing market that is already vulnerable, this pressure could cause a large drop in house prices.
Isn't it? That's fascinating. It's about less than a 2-minute clip. Bank of Canada calling for, well, not calling for, but almost foreseeing an economic collapse due to the conditions of Canadian debt held by the households. But Zero Hedge has done a great job and taken a bunch of screenshots. So let's look at the Zero Hedge article. Bank of Canada lays out in a YouTube clip how the economy could tank. As Maclean's Kirby points out, the bank has taken to YouTube to warn Canadians about the dangers of too much debt and unrealistic house price expectations. So here is the household debt ratio. The ratio of household credit market debt to disposable income, excluding pensions, rose to 167% in the second quarter. So we owe 167% of what we make in wages, apparently. As BMO pointed out, the Bank of Montreal, when the latest household debt ratio was released, the upward trend in household debt goes back 26 years, for which it has records and is showing no signs of slowing down. While it looks as though the Vancouver housing market is cooling after foreign buyers tax was implemented. They implemented a tax on, I think, Chinese buyers and foreign buyers in general, so that because what the Chinese were doing, as an example, they were coming in buying real estate, inflating house prices, just so they could sit on the house and get their money outside of China. And so a tax was implemented there. Meanwhile, none other than Canada's central bank has ramped up its warnings about heavily indebted households. I think this would apply very directly to the U.S. as well. And the unreasonable expectations driving the housing market. Yet all indications are that Canadians have stuffed cotton in their ears, so we're not listening apparently. Here's the scenario that worries the bank. So number one, and he's taking screenshots. As the bank pointed out already, households are highly indebted and house prices are rising at an unsustainable rate. Absolutely. It's great. You know, if you can catch us at the height of it and sell your house, you could cash out. But it's tricky. You don't want to. The housing market is going to crash. Just how long can it go up? Number two, that is, until an economic shock triggers a negative chain of events, for instance, a severe recession, would lead to a sharp increase in unemployment. And then that would mean foreclosures on mortgages because people couldn't pay them. Number three, a lot of households, especially those carrying the heaviest debt levels, would have trouble meeting their debt payments. As a result, some households will start to default on their loans. This is the downward spiral of events that happens when an economic collapse is occurring. Number four, at the same time, the economy slowing, new buyers would delay house purchases until the economy improved. Given the challenges already facing the economy, this could cause a large drop in house prices, absolutely. Number five, if house prices fell, it would push down household wealth, which has received a huge boost from the housing boom, and could curtail consumer spending, which itself has become a primary driver of growth. The added stress on financial sector would also weigh on the economy as lenders cut back on making new loans. Slive doesn't use the term, but what he's talking about is the credit crunch. This is good news, Slive says. Stress tests show Canada's big banks will be just fine, even with a large drop in housing prices. But with the extra troubles that come with it, I don't know if that's absolutely true. Stress tests also showed that both Belgian Dexia and Spanish Bankia were perfectly solvent just months prior to the respective failures of those banks. It's also important to note that the bank, in its financial system review, said there is a low probability of sharp correction in housing prices, but there's no getting around the immense danger such a scenario would have on the economy. That's pretty significant. this video is a break from regular fare on the Bank of Canada's YouTube channel. I didn't even know they had a YouTube channel, which is largely made up of speeches by top bank officials. So they are now going to social media, YouTube, to warn Canadians of impending economic collapse. They can't come out and say it's going to happen, but what they can do is with the idea of being educational about the YouTube videos, they can educate us, hopefully, suggesting that house prices will soon sharply fall. Inevitably they will, we just don't know exactly when. And so hopefully enough Canadians right their ship before an economic collapse happens or a housing price collapse happens. If there's one quibble to be made, the article says, it's with the initial domino that the bank sees setting everything in motion, a severe recession leading to job losses. Since the U.S. housing bubble popped, and that country went into a big, long, dark funk, a chicken versus egg debate has raged over whether the housing collapse triggered the U.S. recession or whether something else, like soaring oil prices, brought on a recession and turned the housing slowdown into a total collapse. What's beyond debate is that America's housing market reached its frothiest in mid-2006 and then began its decline 1.5 years before recession began. It says, whatever the case, the bank's video should be another wake-up call for Canadians. But not that anyone was listening, says, as Jason Kirby laments. So pretty interesting admission by the Bank of Canada, putting out YouTube video even to warn Canadians about an impending economic collapse, housing market crash, and warning us so that hopefully enough of us get ready for it. So, with household debt continuing to increase, you got to understand that that's not going to go forever. Eventually, there's going to be a day of reckoning, and there's no reason why we can't see another 1929. I think we're a couple months out from that, since the whole there's new faith in fiat currency and such with Trump being elected in the U.S., and that buoys the rest of the economy, the world economy, that puts off a crash a little amount of time, a small amount of time. A short period of time, I guess is better said. Regardless, you can't continue on an upward trend of debt levels like this, and house prices can't continue upward. There has to be a correction, and that correction is probably going to be very, very hard. So, anyways, interesting. Watch the video. Canadians watch the video. Even Americans watch the video because it's the same idea for the U.S. and across the world. But interesting that the Bank of Canada is coming out and saying that a housing market collapse could occur, and they put out the reasons why they think, and the series of events that leads to it as well. Even so, that's pretty incredible. So check it out. I'll put the clips in the description below. And thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next video.